Hey guys, welcome back. I hope you are having an amazing day. Let's get right into the stories. The first one is a pro-revenge story. The area I was posted in was pretty rough. Lots of poverty, petty crime, and shady characters up to no good. One scam the local cops had going was incentivizing people to report vehicles with expired inspection stickers. These snitches would get access to the vehicle database to verify if a sticker was legit or not. For motorcycles, they actually advised us to keep the sticker in our wallets because they'd often just get stolen right off the bike. Anyway, the racket worked like this. If they found an expired sticker or the plates came back expired, these guys would jimmy the door open, clean the car out, and leave a note saying they'd brought your stuff to the police station. Then when you went to get your belongings back, they'd hit you with fines for the overdue sticker and give you a tight deadline to get an inspection or face more penalties. So one morning, I go out to my car and bam, there's a note claiming my stuff had been taken due to a fake inspection sticker, and I had to go to the station to retrieve it. Not only was I now late for work, but my kid would miss school since I had to drive her with no bus that day. And the real kicker? My sticker was totally valid. Here's where it got super messy though. The night before, I'd stashed my passport and those of my wife and kid in the glove box. We needed them to get some paperwork done on base, including renewing my wife's expired passport. Dumb move leaving them in the car, I know. I get to the station, and sure enough, when they check the documents this guy had taken, my inspection was clearly up to date. They apologize and say they'll return my stuff while I wait. I asked to file a report for the break-in, but they just stare at me like I've got 3 heads and claim nothing was actually stolen. That's when it hits me. While having some rando take official US passports was already a potential mess, my wife's expired one could be an even bigger issue. So I tell the cop I need to report her passport as stolen, and that since the perp had dropped off my belongings there that morning, they'd know exactly who took it. I have never seen an attitude shift so fast in my life. This guy instantly tried talking me out of filing the report, but I stayed firm. I got the report filed, then contacted the embassy about the stolen passport, giving them all the details on the cops involved. Long story short, we got a free replacement passport out of the whole ordeal. The embassy said they'd handle it, and from what I heard, the genius who boosted the car ended up arrested, fined heavily, and slapped with additional charges over the stolen foreign documents. Part of me wishes I could have been there when the local cops showed up to haul his ass in after realizing the potential international incident he'd caused. I don't feel bad one bit. Hopefully he learned his lesson because I didn't have any other issues like that until I rotated back home. The next one is an entitled people story. When my husband and I decided to move to Sunnyvale, we were drawn to the charming suburban neighborhood and its promise of community. The leafy streets and cookie-cutter houses seemed like the perfect place to put down roots and start a family. Of course, we knew there would be a homeowners association, but we didn't expect it to be run by the neighborhood tyrant, Karen. Right from the start, Karen made it clear she relished her role as homeowner association president. She strode around with an air of smug authority, clipboard in hand as she patrolled the neighborhood looking for violations. God forbid your lawn exceed 2 inches or you forget to close your garage door. Karen would swoop in to scribble a violation notice and threaten fines if you didn't comply with her many nitpicky rules. At first, we tried to keep the peace. My husband trimmed the hedges and I made sure our trash cans were tucked out of sight. But Karen always found something to harass us about. She claimed our kids' toys scattered in the yard were an eyesore. Our potted plants on the front porch somehow broke rules about personal items in common areas. Even our welcome mat was deemed non-compliant. We soon learned she behaved this way with everyone, growing more power-hungry by the day. She scolded residents over the smallest infractions and handed out fines left and right. People tried to reason with her, but Karen refused to compromise. In her mind, she had supreme authority. Things came to a head at one of the homeowner association meetings when Karen proposed an amendment to the bylaws. She wanted to restrict the times when residents could use their garages, only allowing access between 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Her reason? The sound of automatic garage doors opening and closing annoyed her. Most of us worked 9-5, meaning her rule change would make it impossible to use our garages. The outcry was immediate. Homeowners voiced their concerns, but Karen obnoxiously talked over them. Too bad. I'm president and what I say goes, she yelled. That was the final straw. We'd had enough of her tyrannical behavior. Fortunately, our homeowner association bylaws allowed for the removal of a president by homeowner petition and majority vote. I volunteered to create a Facebook group to organize our efforts and gather signatures. Within 2 days, nearly everyone in the neighborhood had signed the petition. Karen caught wind of the growing resistance and went door to door trying to rally support, but no one backed her power trip. At the next homeowner association meeting, we presented the petition and held an official vote. The results were unanimous. Karen was out. She threw a childish fit, accusing us of being ungrateful and claiming she was just trying to maintain order. But her abuse of power had consequences. Security escorted her from the building when she refused to leave quietly. With Karen gone, we elected a new president, a kind, reasonable man who welcomed community input. He rolled back the most ridiculous of Karen's rules and helped institute new checks and balances to prevent any future homeowner association presidents from abusing their authority. My husband and I joined the homeowner association board to help guide the changes. Peace and harmony returned to our neighborhood. Seeing Karen's scowling face as she stomped out of the meeting room that day was one of the most satisfying moments ever. She ended up having to sell her house and move because no one wanted to live near her anymore. Our neighborhood is so much happier without her pettiness and harassing behavior. Karen thought she was untouchable as president, but our little community fought back and won. We realized homeowners have more power when they work together to create positive change. In the end, Karen's hunger for power only led to her downfall. With her eviction, our community can finally thrive and grow. The next one is a petty revenge story. When I was a kid, my family lived on a private dead-end road with many families also raising school-aged children. The street was peaceful and safe for kids to play, but every now and then driving-age teens and young adults would speed down our road, concerning the parents about their children's safety. After some time, the homeowners on the road agreed to put up 2 staggered barriers to act like speed gates, forcing motorists to reduce their speed as they weaved to entered and exited the road. My dad is a frugal DIY kind of guy and volunteered to build the barricades himself and be reimbursed by the road association rather than buying pre-built, lower-quality barriers. My dad's barricades were constructed using hollow plastics beams with a 2D plastic picket fence attached to the front and a weighted bottom to prevent blowing over in windy conditions. All was good in the hood until one day the light barricades were found mangled to the point of being a total loss. No one on the street knew what happened, and the street asked my dad to rebuild his barricades, so he did. A few weeks later, the barricades were again destroyed, and it became clear that it wasn't an accident, but likely caused by one of the speeding teens. Well, my dad, being an engineer, understood the assignment and doubled down, building 2 new picketed barricade, but this time reinforced every structural part with hardy 4x4 wooden beams hidden inside the plastic beams. As predicted, a few days later, we found one of the barricades tipped over with a few broken picket prongs, but all in all still intact. We don't know who it was or how much damage they caused to their vehicle by ramming the reinforced gates, but that was the last time they ever tried destroying our barricades. The next one is a malicious compliance story. My former employer's rulebook says they would reimburse 45p per mile if somebody with a gasoline car needs to drive to the office, but only 11p per mile to EV drivers, even though you could argue that running costs are comparable if you factor in the higher price of an EV. So, petrol car ownership is a money spinner, as most cost far less than 45p per mile to run. But with the recent increase in electricity prices, my EV now costs about 13p per mile to run if I charge it at home, or almost 25p per mile if I use a public charger. They've all been bought by oil companies who now fix the price so it's no cheaper than petrol. So, no grifting profit for me. Finance Karen told me that's government rules and to look it up if I didn't like it, so I did. And I found that technically my car is a hybrid, as, even though it's all electric to the wheels, it has a generator which I could fill with 8 liters of petrol to recharge the battery and extend the electric range. I rarely use it, but it's a loophole I'm willing to exploit. Since company rules don't mention hybrids, but the holier-than-thou government rules say it's counted as a petrol car for the purposes of reimbursement. So I could drive to work for 13p per mile using only electric, but they'd have to reimburse me 45p per mile as if it were a petrol car. Government rules. There's more. When I pointed this out, Finance Karen said that because I live less than an hour from the office, I don't qualify for the reimbursement at all. And she was right. If I was traveling to work at the time of day that she Googled my address, it would take less than an hour. But if they wanted me to commute at rush hour, it would be 5 minutes over the threshold. Finance Karen rejected my expenses claim, of course. I talked through all of this with my manager with the help of Google Maps, and he went over her head and approved it, saying they're either rules or they're not. Karen can't just bend them to suit her, so I won. A petty victory. The next one is an entitled people story. I want to start this by saying this happened over a year ago, but I still think about it all the time and recently retold it to my mom. So at the time I was 18 and had just had surgery to remove my gallbladder, because it was trying to kill me. Side note, the surgery was after 6 months of trying to get into the ER while in extreme pain and waiting over 15 hours each time without seeing a single doctor. Since I was fresh off the operating table, I couldn't walk on my own and needed to use a cane. While in stores that had them, I used the mobility scooters, 'cause that's why they are there. Me and my husband, we'll call him H, were at Walmart one day, and I couldn't keep walking with the cane. It was hurting too much, so I told H that I needed to grab a scooter. We make our way through the store with little to no problem, but I noticed a lady, we'll call her Karen, had been following us. At one point I stood up to look at some chips we were thinking about grabbing when the lady comes around the corner and starts berating me. This is paraphrased because I can't remember exact words. Karen: "You're disgusting for taking away a disabled cart. You're not disabled." Me: "Ma'am, if you look in the basket, you'll see I have a cane with me. I am currently disabled and need the scooter." Karen: "Oh please, that's not a real cane, it's a stick." The cane was my grandmother's, and she had made it from a tree that she loved when it had fallen on a tornado. She used it till the day she died and passed it on to me. Me: "This is in fact a cane, just not a store-bought one. Now if you'll excuse me, I need to find my husband to give him the chips I want." I then tried to get back on the scooter, but she blocked my way. Me: "Ma'am, I need to sit back down. I'm in a lot of pain and can't stand on my own for very long." Karen: "You're fine. You're young and healthy and don't need a scooter. You're just too lazy to walk." Me: "No, I just had surgery and can show you the scars if you want me to, but I need to sit down and get to my husband." Eventually, my husband finds me and tells the Karen to move so I can sit, explaining that I had in fact just had surgery and was in fact in excruciating pain. She moved and was a little white in the face but left us alone after that. Safe to say, the weirdest Karen encounter of my life. The next one is an entitled parent story, so this is an older story, but I've been waiting to tell this story and this sub is perfect for it. EM. Entitled Mother, EF. Entitled Father. A common thing to happen in my family is my parents demanding me to buy them stuff off Amazon because, well, they are entitled. I have Amazon Prime, so I understand using my account. However, they also make me use my debit card to pay for stuff and eventually do pay me back. Still, it's incredibly annoying. It's never been a huge amount of money, but this time around it was a set of chairs worth $500. I first rejected the idea, mostly given I am still in college and only made at $10 an hour at the time. $500 was about a fourth of the money I had in my bank account at the time. I told my EM this and she went off on me, claiming I don't love her and that I don't trust her to pay me back, and begins to cry. Basic parental manipulation tactics. I comply and buy her the chairs, and I am out $500. She then tells me she will pay me back in about 3 days when my father gets paid. 3 days later, still no money. To avoid a fight, I just bite my tongue. Then a week passes, and then another week. After about 2 weeks of not being paid, I was incredibly pissed off. I also worked almost every night this summer at a customer service job, so naturally I want to relax on my days off. Cue my parents that decided we needed to deep clean the entire house. I am helping, and then I receive an email about an interview for an internship that I've been working hard to accomplish. I'm reading the email, and that's when it happened. EM. So, are you going to do any work today, or just sit on your ass all day? Me. Pissed off. Tired. Really? You're going to say that after I bought those chairs for you? EF. You ungrateful son of a idiot, I pay for your college. Me. I'm not doing anything until you pay me back the $500. EM. Now crying. You're so disrespectful after everything we've done for you. Some fun details, my parents actually don't pay for my college. All the loans are in my name. My father's ego was hurt after bringing up that fact. I threatened to return the chairs, which only caused more fights. Long story short, I had to literally tattle on my father to my grandmother to get my money back, and they now have their chairs. This is a normal thing, and I really see myself going no contact in the future. The next one is an entitled parent story. For context, I'm a 25-yo female. That comes from a mixed background. My mother, 56F, is a white woman from Southern Europe. My father is from the Balkans and migrated to my country when he was younger. This is relevant and you will understand later. I moved away from home as soon as I could when I was 18 after a not-so-good childhood and currently live in another European country. My parents are divorced, my father is not really in the picture. I keep in touch with my mother on a daily basis and come visit her and the rest of the family once or twice a year. We never had the best relationship, but since I moved out it improved a lot. I'd say we get along better when I'm far away from home. Anyway, back to the reason of this post. I've been seeing this guy for more than a year. He's great. We're slowly getting to know each other and see where this is going. We are not in a rush, but of course this is a relationship, and I felt it was time to tell something more to my mother. I've always been quite open about my relationships and people I was dating. However, since getting older, I started being more private, as I don't think it would be good to mention every failed date to my mother. LOL. We come from a typical small town in Southern Europe where people are bigots and close-minded. The news on the TV are constantly complaining about immigrants coming to our country and jada jada jada. The government is mostly right-wing. So yeah, I didn't really mention much about this guy, first of all because I'm trying to keep it private, but also because I could imagine her reaction, since she's the standard average middle-aged woman that you find on Facebook without much culture. She is ignorant, not as an insult, but as in the real sense of the word. She ignores, she doesn't inform herself, and just believes whatever the media tells her. Anyway, she suspected I was seeing someone for a while. I never really said much, but I've been giving her a few hints in the past weeks, and now that I came back to my hometown for a week, she started being very curious. The day after I arrived, we were casually talking before bed, and she just kept asking, "Come on, don't you have a pic of this guy? Show me. Come on, I'm your mother." So one side of me didn't want to show her. The other one was excited because at the end of the day, I'm proud of my relationship and I was happy to tell her more, maybe naively hoping for a good outcome. So, without thinking much, I showed her one of the best pictures of him. Literally in the millisecond while I was showing her the picture, she said something like, "Hope it's not black." What? At that point, the phone was already on her face. It was done. She said it, and at the same time, she saw the picture. She was speechless, and I was too. I was ashamed of her, and sad. She didn't say anything more for the following 10 minutes. She went to her room, and I went to mine. Afterwards, she just asked, "Does he even work?" And I told her, "Don't worry about it. He's better off than the both of us." Just to make her shut up about that question that I found so disrespectful. This made me just so sad and disappointed. But the worst had yet to come. We didn't speak much about it at all until today. We were having a casual conversation during the afternoon when the relationship topic came out. In particular, we were talking about how your partner should improve your life and not making it worse, meaning he should make you happy, he should bring good positive vibes, get along, etc. That's what I was thinking and referring to. But she started being very materialistic. She asked me, "So, in which way is he improving your life?" In a very aggressive, sassy tone. "I don't see anything changing," she said. I was mentioning that he makes me happy when the conversation degenerated. All sort of things came out of it. She started by saying, "Well, I truly hopes this will be just a friend and you will keep it like that." Then she continued with, "Please take birth control precautions before you regret it. Don't come to me later saying I didn't stop you." And the cherry on top was, "I would have preferred if you told me you were a lesbian, cause at least that is cool nowadays." I was speechless, and I still am. I asked her what is it that she doesn't like and what is she basing her opinions on since she literally knows nothing about him. She couldn't answer. She kept repeating the same things over and over, and she also said she would never want to meet him. I have to mention that the few guys she met that I was dating were of different cultures, but she never had a problem with them. I guess because the skin color was the same. And in her mind, there are probably foreigners of class A, B, C. I knew it wouldn't be easy, but I neither expected such a bad reaction. All this hurts me so much. I don't know what to do. In my mind, it neither makes sense because she married an immigrant, but it seems like she never really came to terms with it. She never really accepted it. For instance, I know nothing about my father's culture. I never learned the language or interesting facts about it because nobody ever taught me anything about it. I only learned about my mother's side culture of the country I lived in, and I always felt out of place because this country is extremely racist. The fact that my father was not a good husband or father has nothing to do with where he comes from. If a person is an idiot no matter what. And I told her this when we were talking. The fact that she had a bad experience doesn't mean that I will, just because I'm seeing someone from a different culture. I also explained to her that I am myself an immigrant since I'm living in another country, but it doesn't seem to click in her head. And when I told her to her face that she is indeed racist, she obviously denied it, because how can she be racist if she married an immigrant herself? So I don't really know how to handle this, and I'm also just venting and need some support. Thank you for watching. I would really appreciate it if you could like the video and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. We'll see you again tomorrow.